So in my previous corset videos, some of you guys were complaining about how difficult it was to draft the pattern. So I made a digital pattern for you. You can find the link in my description, and let's get started. So this video is just going to be a tutorial on how to use the pattern. So get your pattern and let's go. So once you print out your pattern, you have to read the pattern instructions. It will teach you how to print it. Once you print it, you cut off all the borders. In this case, I cut off all the borders, but in my next pattern video, I am going to teach you a maybe easier way to put together the pattern. This one, there are not a lot of pieces, so I wasn't really bothered. So you just join it together like this, and you have just cut off your pattern. I think digital patterns make your life so much easier because it doesn't just come in one size, it comes in multiple sizes, so you can make some for yourself, make some for your family or your friends, anyone, as a gift or whatever. And if you make a size small today and in future you decide to gain some weight, you can make another one. So that's why I love digital patterns. It's very versatile and you would have it for life. So once you're done joining the pieces, you're just gonna cut out your pattern, and that's it. So the pattern comes with a 0.5 inches seam allowance around everywhere. So everywhere is just 0.5 already added, so you don't have to add it. So once we are done cutting our pattern, this is what we're gonna need. So the pattern we just cut, you're gonna need your main fabric. It has to be a non-stretch fabric, and you're going to need a lining to match your fabric, so the color should match, or however, I mean, it do you, babe. And you're going to need a cloth stiff. Some people call this coat stiff, some people call it cloth stiff. There are different types, so this is another type. I didn't use this, but there are different types on the market, so whatever you have available. So you need that. You need some cotton bias. I'm using a 1/2 inch cotton bias. I mean, that's what you need. And you need some ribbon. I'm just using a 0.5 inch width ribbon, and you're gonna need some tape and then a stitch on bone. I use stitch on, but you can basically use whatever type you have available. So what I do is, if your fabric is big, you just fold it in half, place your pattern on it, and cut out only the amount you need. So I do that, and then I use that cutout to cut my other fabrics, so the lining and then the interfacing. This would prevent waste. It's faster that way than to cut the pattern, cut the interfacing, and iron them on one. So once the interfacing is ironed onto my fabric, so both the lining and then both the main fabric is interfaced, you just place the pattern on and pin it and cut. We're done cutting, and then we just have to make sure that we cut the notches. That way everything is aligned, you know how to join them perfectly. So don't forget to cut the notches. So we do the same for the lining as well, and so we have our main pieces and the lining pieces set. So now we're just going to join them together like you see me do. So you guys, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comment section which digital pattern you want me to create next. I'm very much into digital patterns lately, so let me know what you like me to do next. So once we join all the pieces together, it should be quick. Keep in mind, be trying to align all the notches together. So yeah. So we pin everything, and we do the same for the lining as well. So when it comes to sewing, I have this trick. Because it's 1/2 inch, I measure 1/2 inch, put my pin in, and then use the tape to put on there. So every piece I'm gonna just align it with the tip of that tape so that it's consistent. I'm able to sew 1/2 inch throughout. So once you're done with all the stitches, you have to iron it. It's not a negotiable. You always have to iron your seam to make it look cleaner, because that's the difference between a neat work and shabby work. So once we're done with the ironing, we're going to create the boning channels. I'm using a cotton bias, but you can use whatever you have available that is strong enough to hold the bone in place. So we just cut for all the seams. What I also do is I want to put an extra one at the back, so for stability purposes. So I'm going to just you see later in the video that I'm going to measure 1 inch away from the center back and then put one boning channel over there. So when we finish with the channels, we're gonna so we don't have to do this step for the lining piece. We're just going to now join the two together at the top part. So stitch them right side facing each other, also 1/2 inch throughout. Once we're done stitching, we're going to create some notches. This would allow the fabric to lie flat when we turn it over, because it's a curved line. So now it's time to insert the boning. I'm going to measure 1/2 inch away from the bottom, because that's going to be my sewing line. So that's where I'm going to sew, so that I'm able to see just exactly how much bone I have to cut. So So I'm done with the bun. So once I cut everything, I'm gonna use the masking tape on the tips just to reduce the sharpness of the edges so that it won't poke into my fabric and destroy my corset. So we do that and then we insert your bone and you're done with that step. We're going to create the loops now by cutting, using some cotton bias and cutting this 2 inches long and 10 of those. We're going to pin them to the back, and then when you're stitching, you have to double stitch on each piece so that I will stabilize it. And once we're done, we are done with the